Well, here we are again at what they don't say. We got three big topics to cover today. They're hot topics in the news. As always, there's a lot that's not being said, which is why we started this channel of what they don't say. We got a problem, a continuing problem lingering with Pam Bondi. A lot of people are happy with her or patient, suggesting that we give it some time, wait a little bit and see how she does. And that's all well and good because the DOJ has to build cases. It has to be methodical. It can't happen fast. We all get that. But the problem with Pam Bondi is a lot of people are dead set against her now because when you watch her speak, she does not inspire confidence. A lot of people think that she looks phony, like everything's a put on. A lot of people, other people, are just unhappy with the progress. As far as this Doge situation goes, obviously it's fraud. There's been an awful lot of fraud. They were looting the country right and left. They were blatantly. Pam Bondi has not even said yet that there's criminal investigations going on to get to the bottom of what really happened with all of the fraud that's been uncovered by Doge. People are tired of seeing politicians and bureaucrats walk away from crime. She should at least tell us that it's being investigated as a crime, but we haven't heard that yet. Obviously, a lot of things that took place were pure fraud. That's what the Rico law was developed for in the first place. Organized crime. It all came out of the mafia wars. They needed more tools. The leaders of the mafia were so insulated by the layers of people underneath them, you could bust the little guys and there just wasn't anything to tie them to the big guys. They needed a tool. That's when the Rico law was developed. The actual name of the Rico law is the Racketeer Influence and Corrupt Organization Act. It was 1970 when they put that into play. And the truth is, what's been going on in D.C., they make the mafia look like a bunch of amateur punks. I mean, this is huge. Think about it. We know there's dead bodies associated with Washington, D.C. Financial numbers are much greater than anything the mafia could ever dream of. And this was run by crooked politicians in D.C. who are also the same people that are in charge of our armed forces. The mafia never had an army, especially one like ours. They had a few guys with guns, sure. But my gosh, the kind of power that these people in D.C. have, the kind of power they have globally, and a lot of the crimes were global, like the U.S. aid operation. That was horrible. That was a global footprint. It goes way beyond our country. There's obviously grounds for RICO charges because there was a lot of people involved with this, and it was fraud. Fraud is one of the crimes that they list in the legislation for the RICO charges. The thing about RICO, you can reach people that are tied to it that are harder to reach. There's additional charges, additional added penalties for being involved in a RICO organization. Bondi, tell us you're doing criminal investigations into the fraud. We're tired of seeing these people walk away. If she doesn't do that, at some point, we have to decide as a nation if she's the right person. I know Trump's watching her. I hope that he sees her doing this, but she could at least tell us. This absolutely demands a RICO case, a very large, massive RICO case, equal to the extent of the corruption that robbed American taxpayers for so long. Now, we got another topic going on here with these tariffs. Over the weekend, everybody was panicked. It's the end of the world. It's the end of the markets. Everybody's going to die. Protest coast to coast, and a lot of those protesters are carrying signs about the tariffs. And here we are a couple days later. We got 70 nations so far that are lining up just hoping they can make deals with the president. Which it's kind of funny because if 70 of them are there, then all 70 know that they've been getting away with unfair deals all this time. They're giving it up. If they didn't think they were guilty of something, would they be willing to cut a deal? Would they think, oh, I'm probably on the list? Of course they know they've been robbing us. But the beauty of this, it shows you Trump is not for sale. All of these liberals carrying, or excuse me, they aren't liberals, they're lefty socialists carrying these signs around that Trump is owned by Wall Street. I wonder what they think now after he was willing to crash Wall Street. He didn't care if Wall Street was taking a hit. In most cases, with most of the presidents we've had, they'd have the back door into them. The lobbyists would have their back door. They'd be cutting deals in the shadows, behind the curtains, and the president would never do this. He'd have people from Congress saying, hey, wait a minute, this is going to hurt me such and such a way. This is going to hurt me with these people. It's going to hurt me with those. Trump doesn't care about that. He's just there to do the right thing. Anybody who says he's owned by Wall Street, they sure got it to prove now, don't they? But we got another problem with the tariffs, and that's a lot of these countries have value-added taxes. Most countries do. And that's a tax that they put on the process, different materials and products that go into the finished product through the process. It's as you're making things. The different products that are created and then become the final product. When they tax those, the price builds up, and we wind up paying that too. That's the system that they use. A lot of these countries don't even have a sales tax. They use the value-added tax. We're paying for it. The problem is, we've been doing this for so long. They've been getting away with so much globally for so long that they've built their tax systems based on screwing America. They're going to have to make some internal changes. Trump is well aware of this. One of the issues that he has with Vietnam, they came out and they said, well, we'll come to the table, we'll go zero tax, sure. Or zero tariff, sure. China's been using Vietnam to cover the ownership of these companies because then they say, well, this is from Vietnam. The truth is, China owns them. China can't get blamed for the tariffs because it's Vietnam doing it, right? Trump sees through it. That's why he said that the zero tariff from them is not enough because they've also got a steep value-added tax on it. And China's not hiding behind these other countries. So what happens now with the tariffs on China? Walmart and Amazon are right in the bullseye. Once again, this is what happens when you've got a president that can't be bought. They're talking at this time, there's going to be 104% tariffs on China tonight. Now, by the time you hear this, I don't know what's going to happen. This is Tuesday, April 8th, middle of the afternoon. I don't know what's going to happen at midnight. But that's going to make all those products at Walmart and all those products that everyone has gotten used to purchasing through Amazon pretty darn pricey. And it needs to happen. The problem is the American consumer, they're going to try to get the biggest bang for their buck. Of course they are. Everybody does that, especially a young family with kids, yeah. But a lot of people are going to have to decide, wait a minute, do I really need that? Or don't I? There's a lot of fluff and a lot of lies that can be cut out. A lot of it is Chinese crap. People are going to have to make the decision, do I really want that? Do I really need it? It's going to be a bitter pill for a lot of people, especially the ones that aren't politically engaged, don't have the life experience or even the desire to know about what's going on in government. They're going to feel this, just like they do at the gas pump when the gas prices go up. People can never watch politics, but they know when eggs hit $7. They know when gas is $4 a gallon. Now they're going to see it again every time they look at Amazon or Walmart. So we don't know where the tariffs are going to work out, but the longer they're in effect, the more antsy people are going to get. And I don't trust the American people to stay disciplined about this. They've gotten spoiled on this foreign cheap junk. You buy these TVs now, China, South Korea. Use them a couple of years and they're junk. You throw them away. Get another one. People used to rebuild TVs. You used to be able to trade in your TV. They were American made and they lasted forever. They lasted 20, 25 years. You paid a lot for them, but you got quality. You didn't have to keep replacing that stuff. Now there's a new model coming out every year and a half. Everyone gets hungry for the new model. That's okay because your old one's about ready to quit anyhow. This is going to be interesting to watch. While you're here, I hope you'll take a minute and like and subscribe. This is a new channel. We just moved everything over to this format. We're still trying to grow the thing, and it makes a big difference. Helps us a lot when people click the little like button at the top or subscribe if you want to catch future episodes. Really appreciate it. Last thing we got to discuss today is this Supreme Court ruling that came down. it's been announced as a big win for Trump, and on one half of it, it really is. Obviously, Trump has the right to throw out people under the Alien Enemies Act. The MS-13 gang members, the murderers and rapists and thieves and drug dealers and gangbangers the Democrats were so eager to keep in the country, they're gone. There's nothing that they can do to stop it. President Trump was well within his executive rights to do that. That's why we have a president. That's why the nation is not controlled by the 677 lower court judges. However, I'm not happy with the fact that the Supreme Court threw the left as much of a carrot as they could by saying that a habeas corpus is still required. Now, this is due to the fact the Fifth Amendment and the 14th Amendment both contain the word persons and describing the rights extended to individuals in the country. Because there's a lot of debate. A lot of people don't want our Constitution to apply to foreigners that are in our country. These people aren't regular foreigners. It's not like they flew in here on a visa and overstayed. We're talking about people, criminals, that illegally crossed in the first place. We're talking about people who were thrown out of prisons so they could invade America. This is enemy invaders. I don't believe the 5th and the 14th Amendment apply as the Supreme Court implies. The Supreme Court said before these people can be thrown out, they have a constitutional right to habeas corpus petition, which means they have to be notified of what the charge is and why they're being deported, and they have to have a right, an opportunity to appear in court, hear the case stated, and defend themselves against it. Bullshit. I don't like any part of that. Now, I'm hearing arguments from both sides. And people are always telling me about the 5th and the 14th Amendments. They don't say citizens when they define the rights. The 14th Amendment is the one that's constantly used to try to justify the anchor babies. But I don't believe they apply in this case. They use the word persons. They do not say citizens. Both amendments. However, the 14th Amendment was established in 1866, giving the rights to the former slaves, the ex-slaves. That's the whole purpose of the thing. Okay, that's all well and good, but that was 1866. After 1866, American Indians were thrown off of their land, put on reservations. They lost what we would call their property. They were taken out of their lands, right? This was after the 14th was established. Are Indians not persons? Another thing, a lot of the people that got moved with those Indians were only half-breed Indians. There was an awful lot of people having babies with Indians back then. Now, we're talking about U.S. citizens, where nobody would contest the fact that they were U.S. citizens. How come their babies weren't anchor babies? Indians didn't get to keep any land because of anchor babies. They didn't get to keep any rights because of anchor babies. That same 14th Amendment was in place at the time. Mexicans were thrown off of the land, the families for generations. But in the end of the 1800s, well, throughout the 1800s, but especially toward the end, a lot of them lost ranches, well-established ranches. Now, were they not American citizens the minute that their state became a U.S. state? They're certainly persons. So how could they be thrown off their land and forced out of the country after the 14th Amendment was established? Yet we can't throw out an illegal invader that's a criminal, a member of a criminal gang? That doesn't make any sense. During World War II, a lot of Japanese citizens placed in internment camps. There were some Germans and a few Italians that got locked up along the way too. They were citizens. They didn't get habeas corpus. The Mexicans didn't get habeas corpus when they lost their ranches. In their hearts, they were loyal to Mexico. They considered themselves Mexicans. But these people are from Venezuela, El Salvador, God knows where. What? I think they've said 146 countries, 164, something like that. They're from all over. These people have never been American citizens before, and they're here illegally. The Mexicans that were born here that lost their ranches, why didn't they become automatic U.S. citizens when the land was taken? When the land became a state. The 14th Amendment was in place then. The 5th Amendment was in place then. I don't believe that these illegal gangbangers now have any more right to our constitutional rights than those people did, and the Supreme Court never interfered then. So I'm not buying this argument that the 5th and the 14th historically protect these people. I believe that that's the new left-wing interpretation of it, and I believe that the court just sided with the left on this. My own opinion, I believe they were wrong. Congress can address it. When the Supreme Court makes a bad decision, that's what the balance of power is. Congress can go in there and write a law, pass it, get it signed by the president, and then it's constitutional. Then the court can't say no, because I believe they've interpreted this one wrongly, and I believe that we've got the historical precedents to prove it. Well, thanks for listening. I hope you come back for the next episode. If you've got any comments or questions about this one, feel free to send them in. Answer everything that gets sent to us. If there's another topic you'd like to have covered, let us know, because we got a couple more that are already in the pipe. Like the fact that the Democrats are killing union jobs now with their push against bringing manufacturing back into America. Anyway, that's for another day. Thanks for listening. Please like and subscribe. And may God continue to bless America.